I would love to. So I'm 16 years old, and when I was 14 years old, back in 2021, I was diagnosed with anorexia nervosa. So I've been struggling with it for almost, well, it's been over 2 years now. I was diagnosed in October of 2021. And so I've been in and out of the hospital a couple times now, and I've been treated at like a standard eating disorder treatment center. So I've been extremely underweight, extremely malnourished. And every time I went back to the hospital, or not every time, but when I was at the eating disorder treatment center, I was refed on like the standard American diet. So carbs, sugars, processed junk, seed oils, and I didn't feel good on it. And all the weight that I gained was pretty much fat, because that's what eating those kinds of foods does to you. And so as soon as I would get out of those treatment centers, the hospital, I would just go back to losing weight again, because they can pack on the weight, but it doesn't heal the mind. And so so I went into the hospital the first time Christmas of 2021, and then after that I went to the standard eating disorder treatment center. And as soon as I got out, like within 2 months, I had lost pretty much all the weight that I had put on there just through restricting. And then I was back in the hospital by the end of that summer. And so, I was struggling a lot with my eating disorder. And my mom, she's a CrossFit coach. And so she has this friend who she works with at the gym that she coaches at. And so it's a fellow coach of hers. And she had gone carnivore, and my mom had started to notice. So she asked her, like, what have you been doing? And so my mom's friend, she told her, oh, I've been doing carnivore. And so her knowing that, like, she has a daughter, me, who's been struggling with an eating disorder, she told her about, like, Michelle Hearn, the dietitian who recovered from anorexia using carnivore. And my mom looked into it. So the first time she heard about carnivore was really from an eating disorder context as well. And so she told me about the carnivore diet so it was like July of 2022 when she told me about it. That was when I first heard about it. And I was pretty skeptical at first, because being someone who has anorexia, you're extremely afraid of, well, I personally was extremely afraid of fat and calories. I would try to eat as little calories as I could. So when my mom told me, oh, you just eat meat and it's mostly beef and fat, the idea of that was just so not in like the range of anything that I'd do to me. And so and then my mom, she went carnivore March of this year, the very beginning of March. And she did it because she had started to learn more about carnivore from watching Dr. Barry's videos. And because she learned, she had been struggling with like weight loss herself. She had been trying to lose weight for a few years, and nothing was working for her. Nothing that had worked in the past was working for her anymore. And she heard all the crazy stories about how people had like lost weight on carnivore, and they had reversed their diabetes, their type 2 diabetes. And she watched I remember she watched an interview with like Kelly Hogan and Dr. Barry, and I was in the room when she was watching that one, and I was listening to it, and I was like, come on. But so she went carnivore in March, and she's lost about 35 pounds at this point, I think. But earlier this year, things started getting really bad with my anorexia again. I was starting to drop weight, and I was dropping more weight than I ever had before. I at the end of this last school year, end of May, I was at the lowest weight that I've been like in my adolescent life, like as a teenager. Um, my BMI was around 13, I think. And that's extremely low if you didn't know. I think a healthy range is about 18 and a half. So I was on the verge of getting sent back to the hospital again by my doctor. And if that happened, I probably would have been sent back to the eating disorder treatment center, which I was not about to let happen. So I was getting pretty desperate at that point. But the eating disorder had just pretty much taken over my whole mind. It was all I could think about. And I just don't know how to describe it. Like just the thought of eating more food, the thought of gaining any more weight was so repulsive to my sick brain. And so I had started coming at that point. I had kind of started more. Sorry. At that point, I had started coming around on the idea of carnivore more, just seeing the results that my mom was getting with it. And then Dr. Barry had a live stream one night, and he was talking with some doctors who researched a case study on people who had adopted the carnivore diet, a meat-based ketogenic diet, in order to put their year-long cases of anorexia into remission. And my mom, she came up to me and she showed me like the thumbnail of the video. I saw the title and I decided to listen to it that night. And that night, after listening to it, I decided I'm doing this, because as soon as I listened to that live stream, I felt so much hope for the first time in such a long time. Because I had thought that the eating disorder, I was convinced that it was something I was never going to be free of. It was something I was never going to recover from. And listening to the stories of the people from the case study and their their testimonials about how carnivore helps them to just let go of the eating disorders that they also thought that they would never get better from. It just brought me so much hope. And that night, like I said, I decided I'm going to go carnivore. I'm going to do it. And so I had a doctor's appointment scheduled for later that week. And I went and I told my doctor, this is what I'm doing. And he's a little skeptical. He was a little skeptical, and he's still a little skeptical of it. But he figured, I mean, as long as I'm eating more, it's going to be fine. So yeah, so I've been carnivore for 87 days now. Yes, 87. And funnily enough, JT is actually my carnivore twin. We started on the same exact day. And so that's something that we kind of joke about together. But I've been carnivore for 87 days now, and I've managed to gain, I'm not going to say how much I've gained, but I've gained a pretty good amount of weight so far. And awesome. I look at pictures of myself that I took like right before I went carnivore, and I look at pictures of myself now, and the difference is it's such a it's such a stark contrast. And I look at the pictures of myself from before, and I think to myself, how was I ever okay with looking like that? Because it's just the body dysmorphia is very real, and the body dysmorphia is definitely something that I still struggle with. But it's getting better, I think. But yeah, I'm so happy to have found the carnivore diet, because it's helped me immensely. It's like I said, it's not only helped me heal my body, but it's been helping my mind heal, which is just as important. And I think that's why this documentary is so important. Being able to get the funding for it because there are so many people that I believe that would benefit from learning, even just hearing about the carnivore diet, because then maybe they might be inspired to take it up and fix the problems that they have in their life, whether it be like their diabetes or their autoimmune disease or their mental disorder like me. So yeah, so it's very important. Make sure you guys donate so that we can get the funding for this, because it's going to change so many people's lives. Yeah, and so I started my YouTube channel to kind of document my journey, because, well, I started it because of Carrie, because he said he was looking for such a wide range of stories for people for the documentary. And I figured, I mean, a lot of people, they do it to lose weight, but me, I'm trying to gain weight on it. And yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, that's my story. Yeah.
Awesome.
Amazing.
I said this last time. I don't know. I just always feel it's important to give credit where due. And I really love your story and the fact that you're brave enough to come on here and share it with people and share your example, because it's like you said, there's a lot of hopeless people out there for maybe the same reason, and they can resonate with you, or maybe they're the same age as you, or maybe they're not at all, but they just see that you were able to do it and take control of your life and overcome some things. And it's an amazing thing. I love what you're doing. Good job.
Thank you.
The comments are blowing up too, saying the same thing. We should read some of these comments. If you guys have questions for Sofia, post them in the side. But how has that been, Sofia, with your YouTube channel? How have you found things to be like with the community and the comments? And
oh wow, okay. So YouTube kind of has a reputation, like the internet has a reputation of having so many negative people on it who just bring you down. But I'm so like blown away by the carnivore community. Every time I post a video, people are so supportive. They're so kind. They give me so many compliments, and they're so inspiring, because people will share like their bits of their story in my comments, and it's just I'm so astounded by the community, and I love them all so much. Like, carnivores, they're so nice. They're so kind. Carnivores, I like to say that carnivores are just the kindest people on the internet, because they just support one another. They're so amazing to one another. And just like what happened with Bill as well, because like Bill, he got his YouTube video out, his first YouTube video out, and he got the GoFundMe, and then the donations just blew up. And my mom, she would come up to me and she'd be like, "Do you know how much money Bill has gotten?" And it's like, and it's just, and then we'd be like, "Oh my gosh, the carnivore community, it's just so amazing." And yeah, so I'm so happy to be a part of this community. It's really uplifting.
absolutely. So are you and your mom planning on making the trip up in the big caravan to Bill's house when he gets out? Because that's what I keep hearing from everybody. There's going to be like 500 people there.
I mean, I don't know. It'd be kind of hard to travel up there, I think, but
That's the tricky part for sure.
yeah, it would be awesome.
Actually, Emma and I were looking into driving there before we flew out there, and it's like 57-hour drive from us. Probably a little closer from you, but
a little bit closer. Yeah, I'm in Utah, so.
Hey, we got a super chat. Holly Ruth, $10. My story was Sofia's 41 years ago. All I ate was vegetables. Now carnivore at 57, have reversed progressive, incurable rheumatoid arthritis. You were hungry and brain not working, Sofia. Good on you, for you're succeeding.
Definitely. When you're not eating, your brain gets starved, and it just kind of exacerbates the problem. Your anorexia gets worse and worse and worse, and you just keep getting deeper into it. So.
So you're 87 days in. You're twins with JT now. What are you looking at for the future? Are you carnivore forever, or?
Yeah, I was just talking about this with my mom earlier today. I was saying, if I'm not carnivore for the rest of my life, I'll at least be ketovore. Because with everything, I've said this so many times to my mom, with everything that I've been learning, listening to like Dr. Chafee's videos, Dr. Barry's videos, just like all the carnivore doctors, I could never ever go back to the way I was eating before. Just with everything that I've learned about like seed oils and sugar and carbs and just all the benefits that I feel just from eating meat all the time, I'm always going to be at least meat based. So
Right.
carnivore, yeah, at least ketovore for life for me.
That's awesome. That's one of the beautiful things with it too, because um, like with my girls and other people with their kids, my thing is at least now, like Emma has this in her toolbox. If for some reason she becomes a 40-year-old like I was that was just horribly depressed and my life's a mess and I'm overweight and I have arthritis and inflammation, hey, I remember there is one thing, there is hope. There's this thing that worked for me before. But yeah, I think a lot of people end up doing it. A lot of people say, I'll just do it for 30 days and I'm going to go back to eating in moderation. And then they do it for 30 days and they feel so amazing they don't end up stopping. It's the weirdest
Exactly.
thing. What other diet or way of life do you see with such a success rate? It's kind of
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah. And the food is so good too. I'm never gonna stop eating ribeyes and beef ribs. Those are my favorite now.
Now, Sophia, are you cooking any of these ribeyes or steaks up?
Oh, am I cooking them? Yes. So before I went carnivore, I had no idea how to cook a steak. I had never really done it before, but since going carnivore, I have been cooking my own steaks pretty much at every opportunity that I can. The first couple of weeks, I had to ask my parents to help me do it pretty much every time because I was afraid of ruining it.
Yeah.
But now I cook my steaks on my own. I use a cast iron skillet and I just put it on there and I like barely sear it. I like my steaks very, very rare. That's like the best way to eat them. So
Nice. It's,
Awesome.
Emma does a great job making me beef, butter, bacon, eggs, but she said the exact same thing you said, Sophia. I love steaks and ribeye. Who couldn't? And then I always say to her, yeah, I would love them too if someone reverse sears, smoked them for 2 hours, and then put them on a plate for me and practically cut them up into little pieces and fed it to you. Okay, I didn't go that far. But
yeah,
it is nice having other family doing it with you because she makes one heck of a power bowl. They're so good. You got to start making some other things. My other daughter, Lily, she's been on and off, but she makes really good salmon. So yeah, it's a lot nicer when the whole family's
yeah.
up.
That's the thing. I'm allergic to fish. I'm allergic to seafood, so I can't eat salmon. I can't eat well, I'm technically allergic to tuna and salmon, and so I just rule out all fish, but I really wish I wasn't because I like look at shrimp and salmon. I'm like, oh, that looks good. So
Right. You mentioned some of the good doctors, Dr. Berry, Dr. Chafee. Do you have a favorite one that you watch or just kind of all of them?
oh man, so I've been like so busy just with school starting, working on my YouTube channel and like doing my other jobs. I haven't had much time to watch YouTube lately, but when I do watch it, I like to listen to Dr. Chafee's podcast a lot. I really like the guests that he has on there. And I also, my mom, she's a big fan of Sean O'Mara. I've been listening to him a little bit too, and I've been trying out the sprinting that he recommends you do, and it feels amazing. So
Nice. Yeah, we have Dr. Chafee on later today for a couple hours. It's going to be on kind of later, but you're welcome to stop by again if you'd like, or if you have any questions you want us to ask him. He's always so much fun. With the 3 hours, we did this. I did this segment with him before where it was challenging Dr. Chafee, and we tried to stump him with hard carnivore arguments and questions.
yeah, I remember that one. I think I listened to it.
Yeah. So if you have any of those, or anyone in the comments has any of those, things like, I can't do carnivore, it's not sustainable, or what about the blue zones, they only eat vegetables, or carnivore, there's no studies on it, I'm not going to do that kind of thing. We throw all of those at Dr. Chafee, and he inevitably hits every one of them out of the park and crushes them. So we've yet to stump him, but if anyone wants to try to stump him, let's go. But I think it's a really important and fun thing because there's so many people out there that are suffering and hopeless, and they're scared, and they have these irrational fears, and it's usually just from not having the correct information. Like, I'm going to clog my arteries. Well, no, that's actually not true, and here's why. And Dr. Chafee explains it so much better than I ever could. But it's an important conversation to have. So
I was afraid of beef for the longest time just because I was afraid of fat. And I was again, I was talking with my mom about this literally earlier today. Before I went carnivore, I was terrified of fat. If there was any fat in anything, I would almost refuse to eat it. I would try to get fat out of literally everything I ate. So pretty much only ate like chicken breast and vegetables. That was pretty much everything I ate. And that has just completely flipped on its head since going carnivore. Now, fat is like the thing I prioritize. I will not eat a lean steak unless it has that visible fat that you can see or it has lots and lots of butter on it. Fat's my friend now. Whereas
Nice.
before it was my enemy, but now fat is my good friend.
You got it figured out. That's the biggest mistake people make. I fell into it too. I started out doing a lot of fat, and then I just I got a real craving for sirloin a lot. And then sometimes I'd add butter, but I kind of fell behind. But we had Dr. Kiltz on, and he said it should be called fativore. If you ate only the meat with no fat on it, you would just die. It's the fat that's doing it for you. And every time I get more and more fat, I feel so much better. So
yeah, I that's another doctor. I love listening to Dr. Kiltz. I think he's got some great things to say.
yeah, he's awesome. He's the best. Yeah, speaking of, oh, I don't have it down here anymore. He had this one liner before, but he was saying it's all about the documented stories that matter, the examples.
Yep.
And really resonated with me because that's the whole thought of the carnivore diet documentary. If you want to change the world, you can't hold up a sign or tell people you have to do this, but you can change yourself and share your example and inspire other people to then change themselves as well and change the world that way.
Yeah. And that's another reason why I started my YouTube channel, just because I wanted to share the hope that I felt from carnivore with healing my anorexia with everybody else. So I hope to be able to like inspire so many people with my story, just because everybody deserves to at least like to feel that hope in their life. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, you're doing a heck of a job. Great job. It's awesome. There's nothing greater than either being able to put your example out there, inspire someone, and then they change their life because of your example. We talked about that earlier. It's like the ripple effect, and you don't even know what it is because sometimes they're not even going to comment or say anything to you. But I'm sure there's many people already that have watched your YouTube videos that you've inspired, and now they've changed their life forever. And then they do it, and 10 other people see it, and it just keeps spreading and spreading and spreading. So it's
absolutely,
yeah. Like like I said, my mom, she saw an example of her friend, and then I saw the example of my mom, and hopefully I can be an example for others.
What kind of reaction do your friends have?
They're pretty chill with it, honestly. I tell them and they're like, huh. And that's pretty much the extent of the reaction I get. They don't ask about it too much, but they're not against it. They're not like, that's weird, so I'm okay with it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So what's your next meal?
My next meal?
Yeah.
Probably I'm probably gonna have some steak with some beef fat, like beef fat trimmings that we got from the butcher.
Oh, nice.
Just to add some extra fat with it. But yeah, so we went to the butcher on like Labor Day. Well, we went to the grocery store and we went to the meat counter and we asked them if they had the fat trimmings. And they just went back and they brought out like 2 full trays of like 10 pounds of beef fat trimmings. And so what we've been doing is we've been like putting them in the air fryer, and they get so good. Like they get nice and crisp and just juicy, and they're amazing. I love them.
It sounds delicious. I haven't tried those yet. Have you tried those, Carrie?
Well, I'm sorry, I missed that last part.
Have you tried those yet?
What was it?
The air fried fat?
Yeah. Beef fat, and you put it in the air fryer. It gets real crisp.
Yes.
Amazing.
It's funny you say that because I started doing that a while. I did it a long time ago, but I've been not getting enough fat, so I do it all the time now. We just got some ribeyes the other day, and they were really, really fatty, which is good, but they had like this big chunk on the end. It was too much to eat, so I chopped that up into little pieces. I put it in a bag, and then the next day when I have the next steak, I put those in the air fryer with some salt.
It's so good.
Oh
And
my
then every
goodness,
bite
yeah.
of ribeye you have, you take a little piece of that crispy fat. Emma came up and tasted it. What'd you say?
So good.
You were like, it tastes
Yeah.
like bacon.
It's like bacon, but I think it was because the air fryer had so much.
Yeah, it's probably because the air fryer was dirty. But
It was so good.
Yeah, I like to think that the reason fat tastes so good to us is because it's so good for us. It's what we need to be eating. So
Yep.
Amen, for sure.
What was your question, Emma?
Hmm?
Emma has a question for Sophia.
all right.
Oh, I do. No, I'm just kidding. So how's it been during school? Did it mess up your eating time?
Yeah, so that was something that I was kind of concerned about going into the school year. Cause when you're not home and you don't have access to food, you don't know if you're gonna be hungry, if you're gonna be able to eat.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get too messed up, I don't think. So I take a lunch with me to school. So typically that consists of hard-boiled eggs and bacon. But recently I felt like I wasn't getting enough fat recently, so I started taking bacon mayonnaise with me, homemade bacon mayonnaise that me and my mom made. And what I'll do is I'll spread that on the eggs and I'll put my Redmond salt on it because I have one of those mini Redmond salt shakers. And I'll eat that and it tastes really good. And it satisfies me pretty well until I get home and I eat dinner. And just in case if I don't eat enough, if I'm still hungry at school, I keep beef sticks on me. So like jerky, yeah, I'll keep meat sticks on me, and those are pretty good as well. So my schedule hasn't been too messed up though. Sometimes I'll eat breakfast in the mornings, but sometimes I'm not hungry, so I don't. But things have been going pretty okay, I think.
Nice. Awesome. Well, it's been great having you on here again, Sophia. Shout out to Sophia's channel, Sophia Eats Steaks. I added the link in the description and it's down below. Yeah, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful for this. Thank you so much.
You're the best. And
hey everybody, thank you so much for watching this far, liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing. If you would like to support my channel further, these are some items that are in my store. There is a link in the description, but it's also below the video if you are in US and Canada. Check out this artwork. It's beautiful. It's my mom's original artwork, and I decided to pop it on a bunch of cups and other things. We also have like pillows, all sorts of stuff. So check out the link. If you'd like any of this, feel free to get something. I would love to sell 100,000 of these items this year. I know I'm a big dreamer. But if you want to help with that and you like this artwork and you like these things, go ahead and get something, and that'll support me greatly. Thank you so much. Talk to y'all later. Bye.